Tanya Briggs had always been underestimated. Every night, she'd pull into the parking lot of Stratacor Technologies, a sleek, glass building glowing with innovation and pride. Asterisk, but Tanya wasn't there to innovate. Not officially. She was the night janitor. 42 years old, a single mom with aching knees and a quiet fire in her chest. She wore her navy blue jumpsuit like armor. People didn't ask for her name. They just called her ma'am, or worse, you missed a spot. The worst of them, Rick. Rick was the overnight security guard, early 30s, smug, and insecure in ways only a man with a plastic badge and fragile ego could be. Asterisk, every time Tanya walked through the metal detector with her cleaning caddy, he found a new way to put her down. Careful, Tanya, he once said with a snicker, don't trip over the genius wires. This is Silicon Valley, not a janitor convention. She never replied. She just nodded politely, swiped her badge, and walked past. But inside, she was tallying, not out of anger, but out of patience. Tanya understood the long game, and life had taught her that storms pass, but memories don't. What no one at Stratacor knew, what no one bothered to ask, was that Tanya had once stood at the top of her class at Howard University, a master's in computer engineering. She could write code in her sleep. But after her husband died in a hit-and-run 10 years ago, she dropped everything. No backup plan, no family to help. Just bills, a daughter to raise, and a world that didn't wait for mourning black mothers. Cleaning jobs paid fast. That was enough. For 10 years, Tanya swept floors, wiped fingerprints off touchscreens, and vacuumed the carpet around six-figure salaries. And quietly, on breaks, she watched. She read discarded notebooks, peeked at whiteboards, memorized server diagrams left open on laptops, not out of bitterness, but because brilliance doesn't vanish with a pay stub. One night, things changed. IT started with tension in the air. The startup's engineers were panicked. Tanya could tell something was off the moment she walked into the lobby and saw Rick talking too fast into his earpiece. Upstairs, in the executive conference room, Stratacor was facing a crisis. The company's flagship AI prototype, a neural network designed to detect financial fraud, had crashed mid-demo. The data wouldn't compile. The system refused to learn. They had 36 hours until a $400 million investor pitch. The lead engineer, a 20-something Ivy League grad, was pacing in sweatpants and sandals. The CTO's eyes were red. The CEO, Natalie Wells, wasn't yelling, but the silence in the room was louder than any scream. Tanya could hear parts of the argument through the glass walls while she wiped down the hallway railings. Maybe if we scrap the training loop. No, we can't teach it to recognize patterns. Without it, it's stuck. The output's corrupted. I told you we needed someone from MIT. Tanya lingered near the vending machine just a moment longer, glancing at the schematic on the touchscreen tablet left open on a desk. Something clicked in her brain. She didn't say a word. Not yet. Later that night, as the building emptied and tension fizzled into exhaustion, Tanya quietly approached the IT terminal on floor 7, left open by a junior engineer who'd gone home for a nap. She typed a few lines of diagnostic code. Nothing fancy, just enough to confirm a hunch. The AI wasn't learning because its reward algorithm was feeding it false positives. Basically, it was being taught that failure was success. That loop had been buried under 400,000 lines of code. Tanya logged out, cleaned the keyboard, said nothing. The next morning, she clocked out and went home. But that night, she brought something with her, a flash drive, and a solution. At 2:12 a.m., she printed out a step-by-step walkthrough of how to fix the reward loop bug and optimize the data structure using a reverse filter technique only someone with deep engineering experience would know. She left it on the CTO's desk. No note, no name. The next day, Stratacor's system came back online. The CEO called it a miracle. The investors were impressed. The prototype performed better than expected, but no one knew who fixed it. Until Rick, ever the snoop, pulled up the overnight security footage and saw Tanya near the IT terminal. He laughed at first. Then, he reported it. Told Natalie Wells that the janitor was tampering with company property. Natalie called Tanya into her office. Is this true? She asked. Tanya didn't flinch. I saw the bug. I knew what it was. So I fixed it. Natalie blinked. You're telling me you just knew how to fix what my engineers couldn't? Tanya nodded once. Then added, I have a degree in computer engineering. Howard University. Class of '06. Silence. You could hear the HVAC hum. Natalie leaned back slowly. Something changed in her face. What are you doing as a janitor? Tanya replied, surviving. No arrogance. No ego. Just truth. By the end of that week, Tanya had been offered a full-time position in Stratacor's backend team. Salary, $127,000. Benefits, a workstation with her name on it. Rick? He was transferred to another location after several HR complaints resurfaced. Turns out, Tanya wasn't the only one he'd belittled. Months later, during a TED-style keynote for the company, CEO Natalie told the story of how a woman they'd all walked past saved their biggest pitch. She didn't name Tanya, but everyone knew. And Tanya? She still took the night shift sometimes, not because she had to, but because she wanted her daughter to see that no job is small and no person is invisible. She knew that people like her, quiet, overlooked, uncelebrated, built the foundations others walked on. Sometimes, the janitor is the genius. Sometimes, the most powerful person in the room doesn't speak loudly. They just listen. And wait. So the next time you judge someone by the job they hold, ask yourself, what don't I know about this person's story? Because Tanya was never just a janitor. She was a mother, a scholar, and a warrior in a world that never expected her to rise. But she rose anyway. Have you ever been underestimated because of your job, your background, or how you look? Drop your story in the comments. We'd love to hear how you prove them wrong. And if stories like Tanya's inspire you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. You just might be the first to see how another everyday hero turns the odds around.